Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Content Market webinars by the DICM. This is a series of webinars that happens every third Wednesday of each month. It aims to share insights and experiences from experts from around the industry. For today's topic, we're talking about reshaping of content creation and distribution, how the social media affects the content creation and audiovisual content creation, and how the content might also affect the social media. Joining us today is Evren Jeet from Mako in Turkey, and Al-Zahra Isam from Captain Boy in Egypt. My name is Uday Nasser. I'm a business development manager at Noon Language Solutions. We at Noon help producers and distributors, international distributors and the producers to reach local audiences in MENA region with an authentic and localized voice. We have a long experience in audiovisual localization, and we have delivered subtitling and dubbing services to many happy and satisfied customers. Our first speaker for today is an expert in content creation and production. Her company was behind producing a respectable amount of original content. Please join me in welcoming the co-founder and content manager of Captain Boy in Egypt, Mrs. Al-Zahra. Thank you for joining us today. I'll pass it to you to start your presentation.
Thank you, Uday. Very happy to be with everyone here. Very lucky also to speak about content. It's my passion, has always been and will always be. Let me tell you a little bit about Captain Boy. We originally started back in 2002 as a production house, normal production house, working with free-to-air channels, the only channels available in MENA and in Egypt. And we shifted back in 2016 into creating something that can travel. We always wanted, we've been watching Hollywood content all over our childhood, and maybe some content from Japan, but now we are more open to making Arabic content seen worldwide, and it was our main target at Captain Boy. So in understanding how to localize content, how to speak to the global audience, how to make the team in the production house understand technical specs to achieve all that, it's been a real journey. It's very hard. It's a learning phase, and I believe it will always be after social media frenzy that has been going on everywhere. Because last year, I realized that I have to forget everything I've learned in normal TV channels, because I have to agree to understand that there is a new audience out there. They are craving content all day and maybe all night too. But the creators and the creative minds are telling their own stories, their own voices, and we didn't have enough, of course, data to help us create what the audience needs. Everyone is working on his own, deciding what to do. So let me show you a little bit about Captain Boy first, and then I can move forward to the venture that I took last year. It was a real nice adventure, because I started a social media series for social media only. I was not looking for licensing. I was not looking for revenue. I just wanted to make something that I believe in. So let me share a little bit about Captain Boy. Captain Boy.
يوميات عيلة كواك. كواك كواك، عيلة كوميدية. الأب كواك، الأم كيكي.
يا كواك، انت ما بقتش تحبني خالص يا كواك، ما بقتش تحبني.
انا ما بقتش احبك؟ مين اللي قالك ان عرفت ازاي؟
الابن كي.
بتلاقيها بقى عملت كده في منتهى الشياكة. يعني دي جميلة يا ابني، انت ليه عامل ايه؟
والبنت كاكي.
عارفة بطليموس؟
نموس؟
ده صاحب اسكندر الاسكندر اللي هو مات في وور.
الجدة نانا كوكو.
الو؟ كوكية
ديرة المنزل كوكية.
اعمل لك all ass؟
تعملي ايه؟
all ass؟
النطق الاكله غلط اصلا. لا اول اس ايه اسمها؟ قلقاس كده، اخطفيها كده.
all ass.
وبواب العمارة طشت.
今日はちょっと演奏しに来たんだ。
اهلا والحب العيد.
ياه انت من ايام اهلا بالعيد.
ميات عيلة كواك. كي كاكي كوكية كيكي نانا كوكو كوك طشت. دوت فان زغط البطة.
So I try to make it a little bit brief for everyone. So now that we are moving into content that travels for maybe someone in Spain, someone in Latin America, maybe someday in the US to understand. I understand that audiences worldwide are different. So we have lots of challenges. They all start at the core of the story. What is the story that we are going to tell? I have been fed up with telling stories about local Arabic problems, women problems, kids problems, educational problems. I just want to tell stories. For me, content is first and foremost is about entertainment. If we can't agree that we all like to consume content based on that, then we have to, we are the first people minorizing ourselves. We should not be minorizing our way we speak to the audience. So maybe it's a little bit tricky how we tell stories that we feel every day, and that's why when I try to talk to the audience that I understand, I made stories of dailies, of family dailies that run in every house, hoping that someday, as I watched as a young kid, everyone loves Raymond, or talking about Jim, or the stories that went on and on and on about petty small things, but actually hilarious, beautiful things that happen in every house all around the world.
Thank you. It's all in the details. It's all in the details, as you said. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. It's an exciting journey. I hope we'll see it progress more and more. Thank you, Zahra. Our second speaker for today is Evren, is a renowned expert in children's media with the extensive exchange. Background. You're not.
Hello, everyone. My name is Evren Yiğit. I'm a children's media expert, author, and co-founder of Mako Kids Media Company from Turkey. We create high quality. I'll be introducing myself. So, as I said, Mako Kids Media Company from Turkey. We create high-quality content media products, including animated and live-action series, TV programs, publishing projects, apps, content for social media, and more for children and families around the globe, with operations stretching from Istanbul, Turkey, to Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for having me at the Social Ship, Reshaping Content Creation and Distribution. Today, actually, yes, we are talking about social media and how the social shifts media. But on the other side of the mirror, there is also how media consumption can influence social behavior, and especially social behavior change. And in terms of children's content, reshaping children's content creation can have a transformative impact on children's lives. Let's begin by exploring what we mean when we mean high quality content for children, and how it can serve as a catalyst for positive change in the early stages of development. Let me share my screen and let me go on to what is quality content and the definition of quality content. So Actually, 1 in 3 internet users worldwide is a child. We know that. And what children and experience online, see online, is increasingly shaped by algorithms. Though children's rights and practices are at the center of debates on digital privacy, safety, internet governance, the dominant online platforms have not been just constructed with the needs and interests of the child in mind. So I want to share some of the principles we use to define quality content, so you also know it when you see it and demand more of it. So definition of quality content is actually a very wide definition, but there's also a lot of academics, there's a lot of research on the material, and it's not just about entertainment, it's about creating engaging, impactful material that resonates with the children's developmental needs and backed by children's media studies. So it involves a balance of creativity, relevance, accuracy, and sustainability, so designed to inspire and educate. Let's delve more into it. So like various criteria for content to be considered quality content. For example, does the content invite children to see things they've not seen in the past, hear things they have not heard, and most importantly, to think or imagine things they wouldn't have thought or imagined without television or without the media that they are on at that time. So does the content tell a good story? Does it rely on the familiar in order to bridge the new and unfamiliar for young children? Are the verbal and visual components compatible? Does the content offer characters that children really care about? Just like you said, Zehra, it's important to care about the characters. Is there a struggle between good and bad that's not too extreme? Are the children in the content capable of overcoming difficulties in a reasonable manner? Is the end of the story depending on generosity, fairness, honesty, caring, and responsibility of main characters? Does the content avoid preaching to children? That's very important too, because once we start to preach, once we start to say that's how educational should be, it starts to become uneducational in a way, because it loses its entertainment value. Talking to them in a condescending manner, does it avoid presenting adults as behaving in an unfair, irrational, or foolish manner that undermines children's trust in the adult world? Does the content expand the children's world of experience in an aesthetically attractive way? Does the content include a degree of wittiness and humor that's not exploitative of others? So actually, institutions like UNICEF have come up with principles of communication for children in media, and there can be many principles that could be talked about right now, but the main ones are the communication for children should be definitely child age appropriate and child friendly. We shouldn't show a child which is not something that's really made as age appropriate as for them. Communication for children should address the child holistically. Communication for children should be positive and strengths-based. Communication for children should address the needs and abilities of all, including those who are most disadvantaged. We know that, like we're talking about the social side of things, we know that there's an impact on social change. Research shows well told, well executed, high quality content has the power to shape and empower young minds, instilling values of empathy, ecological consciousness, and even social responsibility. You know what? It can even work as a MOOC, a massive online open course where children who need it the most have access to knowledge and tools to reach their full potential. Through stories, animations, and interactive media, we can foster a generation of children who are not just informed, but inspired and empowered to make a difference in their communities and the world. I will show you a small clip from Fafa and Friends just a little bit later, but I want to first introduce you to one of our quality content shows as an example of how quality content can be made and what's its impact on the real world. Papa and Friends is not just a show, it's a kind of an educational journey too, ranking among the top 10 most watched preschool programs throughout the MENA region. So it's a very well-designed educational design. It's set in an archipelago with thematic islands like Language and Story Island, Science and Discovery Island, Arts and Movement Island, Maths Island, And the shows follow Fafa, Uti, and Duko on adventures that promote essential values such as friendship, kindness, and problem-solving skills through children's development areas and preschool curriculum. Impact on children? Well, we balance fun learning, and Papa and Friends inspires curiosity, creativity, and social development. So we designed it in accordance with children's developmental needs and studies, and actually children well respond to those. So it's become a leading preschool program, making a significant impact in young minds across the Middle East and North Africa. And of course, engaging elements is very, very important. Captivating stories is very important. And it's not just the educational content, it's as a vibrant animation, delightful songs, and valuable life lessons that also involve foundation elements of preschool content. Let me share just a small part of. Sorry. Here is our beloved Papa. Another quality content that we did and still doing is called Kozalak Preschool. It's for fostering sustainability and ecological consciousness. It's a collaborative project with governmental bodies here in Turkey, the European Union, and UNICEF, and is a prime example of content promoting sustainability in children's media. Actually, we designed the format and produced it. The series targets children under 6, particularly in vulnerable communities, serving also as an early childhood intervention program. Through 39 episodes, the series offers children a comprehensive understanding of ecological consciousness and sustainability, supporting preschool curriculum, fosters empathy, collaboration, responsibility, aligning it with sustainable development goals of UN, United Nations. And built on eco-friendly principles, including recycling, composting, community gardens, Kozalak Preschool inspires a natural connection and curiosity and exploration. And we think music is very, very important in children's content. So each episode's thematic songs create a rich learning experience. What the future holds? It's a good question in terms of our talk right now. At Mako, we actively explore and actually utilize the potential of new technologies in children's content and animation, such as AI, virtual reality, personalization, and gamification. But it's also important that we leverage the AI algorithms, to tailor content to children's evolving developmental needs and preferences, using data analytics to gauge viewer feedback and refine content strategies, and ensuring alignment with parental expectations, and also ethical considerations in deploying AI and data, focusing on children's digital safety and responsible data practices. When we think of social media, we are not really thinking of social media actually, because think of social media as there is an algorithm behind, as a behind the scenes guide that decides what content you see and when you see it. It's like you go to a concert and the DJ is playing the songs that you like. Yes, this DJ is mixing the songs you like based on what you have listened to before. So your feed always feels tailored just for you, but it also has the power to guide you on a way what you may like. And that can end up in very different places from where you started in the first place. So we know that it's important to actually be aware of this need that everyone should be kind of algorithmically literate, and we need to somehow, the algorithms should be transparent and prioritize the user's well-being in terms of children's content. But we also know that it feeds biases and can make the vulnerable communities more vulnerable. So we have to be very, very careful in harnessing AI and data. How social media affects parental choices? Well, in terms of parental choices, of course, there's the exploration of omnipresence of social media rather than the algorithms. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook subtly guide what parents perceive as desirable or beneficial content for their children. There's influencer dynamics. There's an undeniable impact of online influencers. There are discussion groups and peer pressure, like community influence in the digital age is very, very important. There are parental discussion groups, forums, and there is also a rising bar because parents are increasingly valuing content depth more and more, and they just don't want, to put their children in front of something that they will think it's hurting them or not beneficial for them, or somehow showing violence or inappropriate content to them. So they are actually raising the bar, wanting, this is how YouTube Kids came up in the first place. Meeting parental standards in the modern content landscape, it's metrics for quality. It's kind of how parents gauge what's best. So parents now rely on diverse metrics, like educational depth, ethical considerations, diversity representation, in some cases cultural value and entertainment value, to decide what content is suitable for their children. But it's also their creators' responsibilities. We need to know that as content creators for children, we also have a moral and societal duty to provide material that positively shapes them, and emphasizing substance over superficiality and navigating the creative tightrope. So it's not easy when you marry creativity with quality and ensuring content remains both captivating and constructive for young audience. And there the challenge rise, but we can do it. And empowering through content. So its ultimate goal is not just to entertain, but to inspire, educate, and empower the next generation to be more empathetic, knowledgeable, and proactive citizens. We think we can make a difference through the stories we tell. We can reshape content creation, positively influence social behavior, and interpersonal dynamics for children and families around the world. So let's keep empowering the option of a better tomorrow and making a meaningful impact on the world through media, through social media. So let's create change together, we always say. And you can contact us whenever you want to change.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for creating content that matters for children. We really need this to still be going forever. We always need to empower our children. Thank you both for your presentation. Now we can move to our Q&A session. I'd like to ask you to keep your cameras and microphones switched on, and to everyone who is watching us, you can start sending your questions through the chat portal. Maybe let's start discussing how social media affect the content, like in general. Why is it important to use social media as a platform for like drama series or for audiovisual content? Why shall we use it as a portal? I'll go to Al-Zahra first.
Okay, so I will go with the Facebook motto for that. It's free and it always will be. So that's the base core for it. It's very important that we have an open platform for everyone. This has revolutionized the content industry in so many ways. I'm so honored to be on this webinar with you, Evren, because I believe that actually people like you and every content creator or content producer who is looking to make change, it's very important to have this kind of responsibility. We cannot write the rules, but we can actually do what we are good at doing, which is doing content and making sure that it is there. I know the algorithm is against us, but it's if you go back to the 1960s or 70s, media has always been monopolized, and it has always been driven by decision makers. So the algorithm is the new decision maker behind the scene that we don't know about, but he decides for us what we want to see, what we have to see, but we have to keep just creating and doing what we do. You are passionate about kids content. I am passionate about family and comedy and entertainment. So people like us, if we are keep on keeping the passion going on, I don't know how, but we have to. This kind of passion is going to make social media a safe place for people to be entertained. Because let's face it, everybody's going economically through so many hardships, and being free. And I know that we are the product, but being free is still something that makes it not a big hassle. And let's face it, if anyone wants to watch a movie on any pirated website, they have to do the effort, you know. It's really hard to watch a movie that is cracked or not on a official platform. So they have to work hard for it. But social media, you don't have to work hard for it. You just click and you watch what you want to watch. And if you watch, and if we are consistent, that's the challenge, the main challenge. If we are consistent in bringing in content on social media, then and only then we will beat the algorithm and we will beat everything. And in that problem, I came here to speak about the problems of what we face every day. Because in 2022 versus 2023, I have seen it over and over that commercial partnerships has always been the key or the core to make content producers create content on a regular basis and keep that rule, the consistency rule, move on. So it's a long road, because commercial partnerships is bringing in all TV ads to social media. The marketeers, and I'm sorry to say that, they have to do their work. Yani we are learning to create content for social media, a medium that we have never seen before. We don't understand the specs, the technical specs, the rules of the timing of the content, the rules of IGTV versus the rules of Facebook Watch versus the rules of YouTube. So we have been studying and learning, but the marketeers are not doing their work. They have to work harder, because we all have a responsibility to bring in content and to make sure that it's just not a celebrity or a content creator holding their product in front of the audience. This is not what we have to do. This is all TV. If we are still working with social media as an old TV medium, then we are not going to move forward. So my beloved Quack family, I haven't talked about it because I was saving it for a little bit later, because my beloved Quack family has been a journey with celebrities, content creators, us as a production house, commercial arms with us. So it's been a real journey, because everybody believed in the story. Everybody wanted to do the story, and it got us to winning the best content strategy of the year in 2022. So at the Broadcast Pro Me Awards. So I hope that some of the producers who are watching us now, they get motivated, because I know motivation is behind everything. You have to get motivated and do what you like. This is what gets you there, because I've been doing lots of content for executives, for decision makers, for broadcasters, and it's always what they are passionate about. But when you do something that you are passionate about, it works. It does. And I know it's so cheesy, and I know it's so hearsay, and everybody says that, but that's the simple truth. That's the only truth.
Thank you. Thank you. You mentioned you have to be motivated, but you also mentioned you have to be strategic. You have to know the tool that you are using. This is very important to everyone who's watching. I don't know, Efren, if you have something to add about why it's important, like, to join social media.
Yeah, like because it provides accessibility to a wider audience. You know, it's the foremost, it comes like that. And it's also democratizing content distribution, just like Zehra said, you know, like democratization is a very important thing in social media. This means creators can reach a global audience without the barriers of traditional broadcasting. And it's not just constrained by production standards or channel guidelines, allowing for more creative freedom and experimentation, and we could do it. But there's also a downside to that, as I said, and academicians are right now talking about something called algorithmic rights for children. As those who are already vulnerable can possibly get more vulnerable from biases that are provided by humans to algorithms. And another way is producing content specifically for social media has led to shorter forms, which we wouldn't see otherwise. I remember last year, the most searched word on YouTube was song. So, and think of Cocomelon, think of Cocomelon, like how it became a unicorn, how it became $1 billion industry in itself. So would we think about such a thing 10 years ago, just with nursery rhymes? No, we wouldn't be able to do that. So it's kind of, we can create $1 billion business if we aim the right people with the right production, with the right content in mind. And there is no longer a necessity to include another, traditional broadcaster or so. And even right now we see Cocomelon on Netflix, for example, or Little Angel. We, think of these names, it goes to the other way around, rather than, it first flourishes on social media, then goes to traditional media. So it's kind of, with lower production costs, you can do a genre, a new trend, which might not fit into traditional broadcasting, but it can find a home and thrive on social media, I think, which is important. So if we are creative enough, and if we have a good intention behind, I think we can go a long way because people get it.
Yeah. Thank you. So you've mentioned that social media is changing how creating content is how it's used, how the content production process has changed. So I'll go to Al-Zahra first. How did social media change the form of the content, or how it is produced? In what ways did it change it?
Okay, so let me start first at the script. It always starts at the script. So when we brainstorm and work on creating characters and creating the script, we used to take a few weeks to work on that, and then that's the writer's work is done, and then we move on to the production. Now it's different because of the consistency for a factor that we have to keep on. So the writers have to keep on writing, evolving based on the actions that we get and the engagement levels that we get from our audience. Because after a span of 1 week to the maximum, you will know how did it work. Did you do it right? Did you speak to the right audience? Did you understand what they are looking for? So the writers have to evolve. The writers have to work on a regular basis. So it's been like a clock 9 to 5 job, but again, it's a fun job. So writers, they just create the ideas of what happens actually in their homes, because maybe it was easy for us when we chose a family genre, a family kind of content. It was easy for us because everybody was talking about what happens at home. For example, every little boy or every young boy at some age, at 18 maybe, or 17, maybe now 14, he asks his dad to show him how to tie his tie. So that was the concept of one episode from our episodes. It's a simple concept. It's a very minor detail, but everybody who relates to this kind of detail will watch that episode, and this is what happened. So the writers have to be talking about what the society is talking about at that moment, because the content cannot be old, which is very, very, very critical. So we kind of created a creative bucket. Every month we sat together, we created a creative bucket, putting on all the ideas that happened at our home. Maybe my mom was cold and she wanted a little lentil soup. So we talked about lentil soup, how people hate it and how people love it, the other people who love it. So that kind of paradox and then that type of contradiction brings in what people are talking about. So it starts with the writers, and then it moved on to the actual guys who bring in the content to the audience, the editors. I love working with editors because they are very smart. They have a lot of input to put in the story, and they bring the story in to another level if they love it. And I was lucky enough to have an editing team who really loved the Kwak family. They loved the combination because it was the first time that the celebrities and content creators were acting together. It's a really tough job for actual content creators because content creators are used to put on their iPhone, put on the LED light, and they just speak to the camera. But standing in a studio with multiple cameras and light and everything, it was a really hard job for them, and also hard job for someone like the famous star comedian who started the Kwak family show, because it's really tough how to put actors together and make that magic happen. So we always sat at the studio at the beginning of the day. We read the script together. We rehearsed. Of course, they got the script earlier before to read it, and everybody can improvise because improvisation is part of the creation of social media. That's why social media has always been so lucky and so booming, because it's about improvisation. What you say, what's on your mind. You don't edit, you don't rethink, you don't do anything, and that's why it relates to so many people. And we wanted to keep that factor at hand as well. So the consistency factor was the learning phase that helped us reach this. As I said, editors, actors, script writers, they have to work around the clock. And then at the end of the day, bringing different videos with the short form or long form for YouTube or for Instagram or Facebook. And of course, Facebook and Instagram, they keep tricking us. They keep making every day they create some other idea that makes the algorithm or whatever they make how the audience see the content. So also the people behind the social media publishing and posting, it is their norm, but they have to learn more because this is a series, this is a drama series. They've never done it before.
Yeah. To summarize what you said, you have to be consistent, you have to be current, to talk about current stuff, and you have to be like less scripted in social media. I don't know if Evan, you have something to add about how social media has changed the shape of the content. You mentioned shorter content
Yes.
before. Yeah, is there something you would like to add about this?
Yes, I would like to add data. We have
Yeah.
worked with global brands on social media, and the first thing that came to us while creating the content was data. Like in this time of the year, what has been happening in the past years is a data report. What will come is another data report. Like for example, it's also about forecasting the data and getting the data as soon as possible, so that like just like Zehra said, it's important to know what's going on in the minds of your audience. And you can get it very, very easily through data right now. And so if you are on social media as a content creator, you have to manage that data really, really well. You have to know strategically how to manage that data and actually be very, very swift and also be very clever in managing it. Like, because for example, you can see some sort of, like, for example, let's say last week, people started to search for more fairy tales around the globe. Let's say that. Let's give an example. And if you come up with short form fairy tales at that time, then you catch the wave and you become something. So it's important to understand the data and then to take the algorithm to your side rather than going against it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so since we're talking algorithm, we know that social media, people who use social media use crowd marketing and algorithm, which affects the audience choices actually. So we've talked about algorithmic rights. You mentioned algorithmic rights. Who should hold the algorithmic rights? And how to make quality content reach audience in a commercial content saturated environment?
Please, Zahra, you go first.
Everyone,
Okay.
you mentioned.
All right. For social media algorithms and crowd marketing strategies, actually, rather than dictating what content is presented to users, as I said, we have to be very, very careful about algorithm. And the more engagement the content receives, the more it's pushed by the algorithms. So which can lead to a kind of a herd mentality in content consumption. And algorithmic rights are a very complex issue. Ideally, they should be transparent, prioritize the user's well-being. But we also know that it feeds bias, as I said earlier, and can make the vulnerable communities more vulnerable. So for me, for example, to ensure quality content reaches audiences, we must somehow find a way to leverage effective practices, engage with their audience genuinely, just like Zehra does, and provide consistent value so that the algorithm catches you as something consistent and something that is safe to provide to children and families.
I would like just to add something because I know this is the right thing to do, but in the world we live in, and after living on Earth all this time, I believe this will never happen. This will only happen in a utopia, and I just want to think about that we have to be realistic. The algorithm rights or the media rights or whoever decides what we see or what we do. We just have to work hard and tell our story as much as we can, because we've all seen, for example, what happened in La Casa del Papel or what happened in the Squid Games, because those stories were so localized against every broadcaster decision maker huge kind of slogan. It's so local that we cannot broadcast it, but it works because it's philosophical, it speaks to the human level, and as long as we retain our humanity when we are producing, I believe this will go so far. But we will still be fighting the algorithm rights in 50 years and 100 years from today, and who knows what will happen after this scary AI is happening. So although I like it very much, but I'm not sure what will happen next.
We'll have to see. So as you both mentioned that the algorithm will be biased towards content that everyone demands. But sometimes there are some genres that everyone is looking for, but are rare to find. Zahra, can you mention some genres that we need to work on to produce more in it, because everyone is looking for, but it's rare now at the moment in the audiovisual world?
Okay, so genres are changed every quarter or every 2 quarters from decision makers that I've heard. I'm not talking about social media, I'm actually talking about broadcasters and OTT platforms. This year, I've been hearing a lot romance, comedy, mainstream commercial. This is something very new for MENA. They now understand that comedy content comes from Egypt, and nobody can beat the comedy content from Egypt. So Egyptian creators just do comedy. Please don't do anything else, just do comedy. So I'm happy that they understand where every territory, the strength of every territory, and I'm happy they are working on it. So romance is definitely something that will speak to the global audience, because despite what everybody says, it's feminine only or female only, sometimes you just like to watch a nice rom-com and maybe only a romance series or something. So those are the only genres I've been hearing. Of course, everybody in Arabic content, because I don't know Turkey, they have been very well doing in this, but in Arabic content, kids-related content, and the genres that speak to tweens and the little younger audience who are believing that they have become some adults. Those guys, they don't have something to watch, so they go to Korean content, they go to, of course, Hollywood content. So but everybody's making trials and errors. It's like social media, and I'm happy about that. We are moving towards that.
Let's talk about I was mentioning that we've talked about how how social media has changed the audience behavior. But let's talk about how content can change the audience behavior on social media. I'd like to go to everyone with this. How can the content change our kids' behavior in social media or in social life in general?
Actually, it's a very broad topic, as I said, but like it can create a whole lot. Like there are a lot of research on how we can think of content as something else than we think of right now. So like also like parental choices is important here. Just Zehra said, like algorithmic rights can be an utopia, right? Human rights is already we are not even like really doing human rights as it should be done, or children's rights. But what I mean by algorithmic rights here is that I think parents should educate themselves about what algorithm is, and it's not about not they think that there is a social media and people are thinking like putting in content, and it's not the case. They should educate themselves about what algorithm means, how it works, and how it's affected by the choices they make. So it's important like once they start to make better choices for themselves, or then everything will change.
Okay. We've talked about how to deal with social media, but we haven't mentioned how to make it profitable money-wise. So how can make social media profitable? I'd like to ask Zahra about this.
Well, I'll tell you about the case study that happened with Actual Quack. It was the belief of the commercial arm, the marketing directors of the companies who actually sponsored the show. They believed, because I was going to them with something they have never seen before, having a series posted daily every night on social media across 4 platforms. It was something new they haven't heard about, but they believed in the idea. And their sponsorship to the show was really valuable. Coming from a background working with huge networks, Captain Boy has worked with Discovery Network, who have actually taught us how to create clean content. So I was very cautious about making sure that my episodes are not going only to be on social media. They have to go to platforms and to broadcasters. So I made sure that we have another way to make some clean version for to relicense the content. So revenue comes from 2 streams here: either relicensing the content and making sure that you shoot with and you produce with the specs that OTTs and broadcasters are looking for. Re-editing is the challenge and the struggle, but there is another revenue stream coming from the commercial sponsorship. I believe any business should have a commercial arm, because commercials, we have to agree that they are looking for us, they are looking for the stories to be featured on, but as I said, they have to do the work and to learn more about marketing on our content marketing. Everybody's been talking about it for years, but from what I've seen in 2022, nobody's learned anything. They're just so busy doing the old school ads that I have said. It's frustrating really for me to explain this, but they are so happy when they see something like, for example, Suits. It was an adaptation of the Hollywood Suits,
Yeah.
and I happen to know the marketing director of the who sponsored the show, and he told me that he wasn't satisfied with the content because he hasn't seen his brand well incorporated in the content. So this is I cannot explain that, I cannot reply to that, because people loved the setting of Suits, they loved the surroundings, and that should be enough. The logo of the brand should not be forced everywhere. People just know, and the marketing people have to understand that. Maybe also the talents, because talents, they are used to getting easy revenue from talking about some brand here and there, but actual partnership on a show, and it's like they are partners on forever on some piece of content. They don't understand the value of that because now after the OTT started maybe 2 or 3 years ago, everybody was looking who has rights to 30 episodes or 30 hours or movies or whatever, and everybody was searching for these kinds of rights. So the talents also they know that there is a lot of value in their appearances in those kinds of shows, but they always feel tricked. And sorry to say that transparency has not been something for production houses in around the Arab region, and this has caused a lot of conflicts. People who have clear and transparent budgets, sharing them with the talents and making sure the talents understand the value of this, I believe this will go a lot of places.
Thank you. We have room for one more question. Since you both mentioned AI, I'd like to ask how AI might affect social media content in general. I'd like to go to Ephraim first about this.
AI will already has started to change our lives, you know, and it will play a transformative role in content creation and curation. Like very soon, maybe there won't be any animators, but supervisors of animation. You know, it might aid in content personalization. It might ensure users receive content tailored to their preferences. But it also could amplify biases, as I thought, or you know, like inequalities present in the data it's trained on. So potentially marginalized or minority content could, you know, like become more marginalized or minority content. So it challenges us to reconsider what we think of content, how we think of content, what is age appropriate, what is family content, and necessitates a balance between, you know, like these things, you know, like how should humans actually come in, you know, and be part of the creation, like as a supervisor role. For example, EU just recently published its AI in terms of AI rights, in terms of publications and stuff. So it's kind of, you know, they are saying it needs to be supervised by a human, not by another AI who's, you know, supervising the whole thing. Actually, we have started an enterprise and an initiative. It's called Kids AI. It's for the use of artificial intelligence and children's media together. So our mission is to bridge the gap between cutting edge technology and engaging content for a brighter future. And we aim to provide a hub of knowledge and insights and consultancy tailored for professionals and enthusiasts working with AI-driven content for children, because it's the future. It's coming. We cannot stop it. But we have to learn how to be good with it and also use it for our good.
Okay. Zahra, like we have a minute to talk about AI. So if you have like additional things you'd like to
just a little comment. I have seen the young employees in my company, whenever they are Googling or searching for something, they are not Googling anymore. It's not anymore a search engine kind of question. They go to ChatGPT and they ask the question, and the ChatGPT gives them the answer more quickly. So I believe if I feed the AI with what I want to say, maybe ChatGPT will give them the answer I'm looking for. So this is my strategy.
So it's a good strategy. Thank you both very much for your time. Thank you everyone for watching us. This is for our time today. If you haven't seen the full session, a recording will be shared within a week on the DICM website. Our next webinar is going to be Kids Content in Demand, which is going to be on the 20th of September. A reminder for who hasn't registered yet, the Ramadan content market is happening on the 25th to the 26th of October, and the the ICM, Dubai International Content Market, will be taking place on the 22nd and 23rd of November this year. So if you are interested, if you are a seller or a buyer interested in making your content reach its audience, this is the best platform you can find. Thank you,
We'll be
everyone.
attending both today.
Yeah, see you there. See you there both. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for really happy meeting you guys, and looking forward to seeing you soon in person, inshallah. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you.